Uh, Welcome back to the Smooth Brain Society. I'm Sahir and here with Amer today. Uh, we are doing another episode for Europe's Journal of Psychology. So, for those of you who don't know, we are partnering with Europe's Journal of Psychology to sort of showcase some of the latest research being published in their journal. And today we have a guest all the way from Indonesia joining us. So, Cecilia Larasati Rembulan. She is the associate professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of Ciputra at Surabaya, Indonesia. Is it Surabaya, Indonesia? Surabaya, Indonesia?
Yes,
How do you
Surabaya.
Surabaya? From Surabaya, Indonesia. See, this is why you need to learn to pronounce foreign words. Um, but yeah, welcome, Cecilia. Thank you for coming on to the Smooth Brain Society.
Hello, Sahir and Amer. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to meet you in the podcast.
Thank you. So Cecilia's interests are in social exchange, reciprocity, relationship exchange, power interplay, and community enterprise. She is here specifically to talk about her publication in Europe's Journal of Psychology. The publication is titled "How Can Subjective Well-Being Be Increased?" and the role of social comparison and subjective financial well-being in this process. So thank you for coming on again, Cecilia. I think the first question which I should ask then is sort of definitions, I guess. So what do we mean by well-being and what do you mean by subjective well-being?
Okay, so talk about the subjective well-being. There are two fundamental components. The first is life satisfaction, and the second one is happiness. So, happiness is all about our emotional state. Is that positive feeling we get when our social needs are met, like feeling valued or respected or being respected. So it includes both those brief moments of joy as well as longer lasting emotions like contentment. For life satisfaction, on the other hand, is more about the bigger picture. It's our overall evaluation of life, whether our basic needs like food and shelter are being met. So whether we feel that life as a whole is going well. So together, these two, happiness and life satisfaction, is called subjective well-being, according to Ed Diner, the famous figure in psychology.
Nice. So wait, how do you measure happiness then? I feel sort of you could measure, you said like life satisfaction being like your living conditions, things like that, your accessibility to uh, needs. I feel that's easier to measure, but how do you measure something like your happiness
Mhm.
or your contentment?
Mhm. So this is self-report uh, measurement. So I use the Indonesian Family Life Survey. This is big data from RAN, the non-profit organization. They release periodically the data about Indonesian. But unfortunately, very few researchers from Indonesia publish from this data. So together with my colleague, Theda Renanita, which is also the first author of this paper, we are challenged to publish the journal from this data.
So, so if I understand it, so essentially you're asking people how they feel,
Mhm,
um, and then I know the title because as you know, me and Amr have not read the paper. We're asking you. You're
mhm.
talking about financial well-being in the title as well. So again, if again, is that subjective as well, or is that more objective when we're talking about financial well-being?
The financial well-being that talk in the paper here is also subjective, not objective. So the subjective well-being is uh, based on the personal standard, personal evaluation, and also the subjective financial well-being is about how do we satisfy with our financial condition in the present moment and in the future. So not how much the emergency fund that we have, like insurance and so on. So it is about subjective. And I didn't collect the data by myself because this is the big data from Indonesian Family Life Survey that conducted by RAND, the nonprofit organization who opened their data. So I just analyzed the secondary data from them.
I see. So, was there any self reporting involved in the financial well being side as well, or was that based on uh, general statistics of based on cost of living and those sort of factors in Indonesia?
So the data that we use in this research is based on the self-evaluation, yeah, only self-evaluation. Of course, the RAN, the IFLS have another section of the data, but in this paper we only use the book 3A, so it is only about the self-evaluation about the financial situation. So it
Mhm.
is not based on the objective financial situation of them.
I want to talk. Well, okay. First, can I ask, because you said it's a massive survey which is conducted? How many people or how many families? What are we talking about here?
Okay, so uh, RAND usually survey around 80,000 people in Indonesia, but
Hmm.
for this research we only use 3,700 something, yeah, around 3,000 people.
Is
Yeah.
there a reason for that? Is they just don't have the data for all 80,000 for financial and well-being? Is it, or is there a reason for you only using 3,000?
Mm. Because we have the criteria for the participants, like the age, and then Theda, my co researcher, also try to analyze the data first, and then cut off to 3,000. Oh, because some of the criteria is not suitable, so we only select the 3,700 people.
I'm interested a little bit in the background of what was the
Mhm.
reason for you deciding to do this study. So what? Yeah, I'm quite interested in the sort of bigger picture of reasoning behind doing this. We've been talking about what you did a little bit, but yeah.
Hmm. So it is more a personal background. At one day, I joined a workshop on using big data for research. That's where I first learned about IFLS, longitudinal study Indonesia developed by RAN. Uh, but what surprised me was that many of studies using this data were not done by Indonesian. So together with my colleague, I felt challenged to take on this research ourselves. But when we take a look at the data, we also find the research gap, uh, uh, especially in the subjective well-being, social comparison, and subjective financial well-being. So we try to write the paper. So at the beginning, it is a personal interest because a lot of researcher publish the paper and the data is about Indonesia, but Indonesian researcher is not writing about themselves.
So that begs the question. So, what aspects were were they missing out on when they were
Mhm.
producing their research and their survey
Mm,
reports?
do you mean the previous research
Yeah,
done
the
by
previous one.
other
Yes,
people?
yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
Usually, they analyze using the economic perspective. Yeah, as far as I know, like OLS, I also not familiar with that analysis. So because Theda and me, our background is from psychology, so we try to to read the psychological data like social comparison, subjective financial well-being, and subjective well-being. Usually, they are the researcher. focus on the economic side, not psychological side.
So, so what does that mean for if somebody does not really know economics or does not really know psychology? When you say one group is looking at the same data from an economic side while the other group is looking from a psychological side, what does that mean to, yeah, somebody who does not know the
Mm,
difference?
okay. Mm, from the economic side, they are focused on the objective side. For example, like they will choose uh, um, the objective standard like cost of living, like Amr said, yeah. Like what the food that Indonesian eat, something like that, yeah, and the nutrition, yeah, and mm, the wage, yeah, and all the economical things, yeah. But for me as a psychologist, it is more interesting for me to explore the psychological things like well-being, subjective financial well-being, or social comparison, rather than the exact number of like the salary and then the nutrition, etc. It is very factual and objective. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong here. So, from my understanding, you are looking at sort of the more subjective aspect. So, I guess an economist will, like you said, just look at um, wages, look at how much it costs to maybe live in Indonesia, and then they would maybe compare that to what the well-being scores are. But you're trying to
Mhm.
see more of the subjective nature of how people think the money which they have, how they feel about it, whether they feel secure or
Yes.
safe, how that is related to their subjective well-being. So it's not about whether
Yes.
they're really rich or not, but it's about do they think how much money they have is good for them subjectively? Or that's one aspect of what you are
Yes.
looking at.
Yes. For economists, our research is too micro because
Oh,
their study is a more broad and macroeconomy.
no. So let's get into your study then, shall we? So you already said where you got the data from. So you said that from a massive survey, and you sort of narrowed it down to about roughly 3,000, just over 3,000 participants based on some criteria. What were you looking at? So, what was the goal of this? Why such criteria? And what were you doing? I'll let you
Mhm.
talk for longer and you can just tell us, yeah, what your methods of your study were and what you were trying to do.
Okay, so our study looks at how social comparison influences subjective well-being in the context of Indonesian household. Unlike earlier research that often focus on specific groups like employees or certain demographics, we take a broader household-based perspective. So this includes individuals and couples with or without children, following the United Nations definition of household. So the main goal is to shed the light on the role of social comparison in shaping well-being to respond to the limitation and contradiction we have seen in previous studies. So the study aims to bridge the gap by examining whether subjective financial well-being serve as a mediating mechanism between social comparison and subjective well-being. So what we are really asking in this study is, does comparing ourselves to others shape how happy or satisfied we feel with life? And if so, could the way we see our financial situation be the link that explains that connection?
Mm. So, so comparing with ourselves with others, I mean, we compare ourselves with others in many ways. I don't know how Indonesia is like, but me being an Indian, our parents always compared us to other people's kids as well.
The same with us in Indonesia.
See, Asian culture is a lot tightly knit than people think, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Collectivist. In Indonesia is collectivist.
Yeah.
So you were thinking, this is just out of interest because I made the joke. I don't know, when you're looking at comparisons, how people see themselves compared to others. You were only looking at it in a financial aspect, or were you thinking about it in other aspects of life as well, like they have a family, or they're a doctor, or they have better jobs, or was occupation, those kind of things also? I feel those are harder to
Mhm.
measure, but were they also things you were looking at? Or was it mostly just financial?
Mm, yeah, about the social status and the financial thing. Yeah, but because this is the secondary data, so we cannot intervene what is the scale that they use. So we
Mm.
just take it the result of their data. Yes, about they compare with the family, specifically, because the reference group that we can compare can be various. It can be our colleague, our friends, our best friend, our neighbor. But in this situation, in this research, they compare with the family.
So, with another family or within the family?
Uh,
Or are you comparing single people to families? Or how?
with their in-law, uh, in-law, yeah, yeah, the parents in-law.
Okay. So they. Uh,
So, sorry. So, essentially, so from the much larger survey, you brought it down to about 3,000 some report, well, samples, so to I don't know why I can't think of a better term. But yeah, so from there, is it like 30,000 households, or is it, sorry, not 30, 3,000 households, or is it 3,000 individuals? And are they compared
Household.
to each other? So, okay, so 3,000 households, and those households compare against other households, but within their sort of social circle?
Yes, with the family.
so how they see themselves? So their subjective
Yeah, how
comparisons.
they see themselves compared
So
to their
compared to their
family.
family.
Mhm.
No, that's okay. So I'm getting this. This is actually quite interesting to see how people. I mean, in Indonesia, I have to be specific. Can't generalize with them. But people in Indonesia, how they compare themselves to, yeah, the people around them. So so how do you do this? So how do you even compare these things? So is it just based on the secondary survey data which you got? Do you have to make any sort of accounting for certain things, or yeah, uh, do you have to? Are there certain questions? Because I feel like in when they have like a lot of data, when they do these big surveys, there's a lot of questions they ask. So are there certain
Mhm.
questions you were more interested in? How does it go?
Yeah, we a lot of instrument that they use, yeah, in the IFLS. So we just select the variable that relate to my research and Theda research, my co-researcher. So, but I also check in the literature, is it any issue? Is it any research gap there? So mm, it is also a reason for us to do the research. So we are not at another data collection, but we only use the data from the IFLS.
Just sort of highlighting on those, on that data, right? So, could you tell us a bit more about? So, this is secondary, but did you have a chance to go through what sort of questions were asked within the data?
Mhm. So do you mean you want to know how 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 is the statement of the instrument, the scale? Do you
Yeah,
mean like?
yeah. So what questions were used to build the scale?
So, in the financial well-being, as far as I remember, yeah, in the financial well-being, the respondent asked about their financial in the present moment and in the future. Uh, is it they are satisfied enough or not in the present moment, and if they can imagine their financial condition in the future, uh, they feel safe or no. It is like so the participant can choose the options of their answer. That is about the financial well-being. And then about the subjective well-being consists of life satisfaction and happiness. So the statement will be the how happy are they with their life, how satisfied are they with their life. So they can choose the response on that scale, something like that. And about the social comparison, there is a reference group, their family, and then they compare uh, if they evaluate how is their social class compared to their family, something like that. The question.
Nice. Okay, so what did you find? This is where I'm interested in. So the things you're looking at is subjective well-being, how it is in related to how people compare themselves to others and their financial subjective well-being. So, yeah, what did you find?
Okay, so the first, social comparison on its own doesn't have a significant effect on happiness and life satisfaction.
Oh.
So, and the
so
second, uh
so comparing yourself to others does not have any effect,
contribute anything.
neither positive or negative. I'm surprised. I thought
In the
depending who you
literature,
come, yeah.
in the previous literature, uh, previous research said that if we compare to others, it will decrease our subjective well-being. It will decrease our happiness and life satisfaction. But probably because their instrument is very specific, dividing the social comparison based on upward and downward comparison. But in this scale, uh, they don't divide it. The IFLS, yeah, they don't divide the upward and downward comparison. So the result in our research is only social comparison doesn't have a significant effect on happiness and life satisfaction. So it will not decrease or increasing the subjective well-being. And the second one is financial well-being really does play a strong role in shaping life satisfaction and happiness. So at least uh, we have the satisfaction in one domain like financial, yeah. And then finally, when we put it all together, financial well-being act as the bridge, mediating the effect of social comparison on life satisfaction and happiness. That is the result.
Okay,
So,
so go ahead, Amir.
sorry, I've got a question relating to that first conclusion. So you said in existing literature they use upward and downward comparisons. Could you briefly explain? I'm not quite sure exactly what that is, and also why is why is it well because you got your study has set that aside. Why was it not? Why did you think it wasn't a good idea to make that sort of comparison?
Thank you, Amir. That is a good question. So, upward and downward comparison. So, upward is the situation when we compare to other people that superior than us. So, probably he or she better regarding their knowledge, uh, their salary, etc. Yeah. And downward comparison is the situation when we compare ourselves to the people who are more inferior than us. So we are better than them.
And is
So
this sort of
uh,
self-assessment? Like, for example, I could see a person on the street and I determine whether this is making a downward comparison or upward comparison, or is it based on some defined metrics? Say, for example, me versus my boss at work, and we deem that as an upward comparison. Is it more objective, or is it more in line with the person you perspective of the person you're viewing it from?
more on the perspective of the person, because probably in the society, boss is the status of our boss is higher, but probably if we compare to our best friend that have a best music skills than us, it is also upward comparison. Or probably she is prettier than me, that is also upward comparison. Not
I see.
always the people that have a higher status in the society, like our boss or our lecturer, something like that. But it can also the person who near us, yeah, in our social circle.
Mm.
So based on the perspective of the one who compare themselves to other.
Yeah. So yeah, my second part was, why did you feel in this study that was a hindrance, or that was a limitation that you had to get rid of?
Yes, I admit this is the limitation of the study, because the scale is not specific enough, yeah, dividing the upward and downward. Probably uh, mm, that contribute to the different result, yeah, in this study. But at least we can have a conclusion that even though this is the general social comparison, not the specific social comparison upward and downward, it is also not contribute to happiness and life satisfaction. If we constantly compare to other, so we cannot be happy or satisfied with our life. So the key takeaway in this study is try to be aware what is our personal standard of satisfaction and our goal in our happiness, not based on the society standard.
Yeah. That's a good first takeaway. It's a I mean, yeah, I was just thinking that when you go about comparing yourself to others subjectively, you compare, you upwards compare sometimes, you downwards compare sometimes, but in the end, I mean, I think I'm just saying, like, I feel on average you're comparing up and down enough that it should not make that much of a difference. That I guess there's certain people who will always compare up and certain people who will always compare down, and maybe it makes a difference to them, but I feel on the whole you're comparing up and down enough between people,
Then
for
just
various
levels
things.
out. Yep.
For various things. He's taller than me, but he has a weird foot. It's fine. Something I don't know.
Because we are human,
uh,
we try to validate ourselves by comparing to others, so it is very normal.
yeah. Okay. So that's the social comparison. The next thing was the financial comparison. So you said that this played a role. So subjective financial well-being plays a role in your subjective well-being.
Yes,
Um,
right.
so and what way does that work? If you think you have more money, you're happier, or if you have more money, you're
Mm.
happier. So can money buy happiness?
If we think that we quite safe with our financial condition in the present moment and in the future, so we are happy, we are satisfied with life. At least we can take a look in the positive sides of our financial condition. So it is
Mm-hmm.
not about the objective, uh, the fact that how much money that we have, but at least if we feel grateful with our financial condition in the present and in the future moment, so we can be happy. We can have a life satisfaction.
So I want to ask this. So were there any people in the survey were happy about the financial situation in the present one, but weren't satisfied with what they expect their financial situation to be in the future? And were there any such people in the survey? And if so, what was their sort of uh, what what was their sort of in the well-being indication there? So you have money now, but you're not going to have money in the. They don't expect to have money in the future.
Yeah, probably they can be financially insecure in the future, so it's okay because we just analyze it. But if they don't, if they didn't answer the question, so we will cut the data. So
Okay.
as long as the participant answer the question, answer the item about the present moment and in the future, are they feel secure or no? So we just analyze the data. So
This
we find the complete answer one. If they are not sure, so but at least they are take the answer. It's okay. We can analyze it.
Bu- but this is more of a general question. I think. I think a lot of people just generally in the world right now. There'd be a few people who might be like, okay, at the moment my finances are good, but looking at where the country is going or where the world is going, that in the future my financial situation might not be good if it stays the same. Does that play an effect on your subjective well-being? It must, right? If you don't think that your
Yeah,
future will be safe, financially secure.
yeah. I think it will affect, but the data said that the if we feel secure, uh, even though we cannot predict the future, if at least their self-evaluation with the financial situation they feel secure, so it will contribute to their well-being, to their happiness,
Okay.
like that.
So I also had a question about the demographics of the 3,000 or so households. So were these
Mm-hmm.
all families with with the were these all families with parents within a certain age range, or was it a
Mm-hmm.
bit? So could you speak a bit on that?
Mm-hmm. So the demographic is they are from 13 provinces in Indonesia, and the participants being aged between 21 until 60. So it is
So
quite
quite broad.
quite
Did
wide.
did 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 that make a difference? Was there a difference between ages or age groups of satisfaction or comparison or well-being? Are some ages happier than other ages?
That is very interesting question. Yeah, but unfortunately, in this research, we don't analyze specifically based on their age. So we just test the model with the path
Mm.
analysis, uh, how the connection, the correlation between the social comparison, subjective financial well-being, and subjective well-being that we divide it into happiness and life satisfaction. But probably next, it will be interesting if we analyze a bit more specific.
Yeah, I imagine in that study there could be a situation where a lot more younger people take currently not financially well off and then aspire to be, and because that's my situation, I'd say.
Yeah, that is also a good question. I know did you see any trends of people saying at the moment we are not financially secure, but we predict in the future we will be financially secure? Are people optimistic that way, or is that something you didn't look at?
Yeah, that also something that I didn't look at. But to put into context, the background of their education, probably it will explain more about the background. Around 38.2% the education is senior high school, and then 21.8 is junior high school, and then only few like 19.1 is from university, the level of the education. So most of them is not entering the university, probably because of that they are more grateful with their condition because no choice.
Mhm.
And probably the career path is uh, yeah, they have not a lot of options, yeah, uh,
Mm.
with their career path probably. But I was not analyzed very deep into that.
But these are
About
all study questions for next time.
yeah, next time probably I will analyze that the trend.
But the final question which I had about the results was, so we spoke about we spoke about social comparison, we spoke about financial well-being. You said that financial well-being mediates this role. That was the third finding which you said, correct? Could you explain that one again, please?
Social comparison, no. Subjective financial well-being is about the how satisfied are we with the financial condition in the present and in the future moment. So if we have this financial secure, so it will contribute to the happiness and life satisfaction. But if we constantly compare with others, only compare to others, so it will not contribute to the subjective well-being. But at least if we have one single domain that we satisfy enough, it will contribute to our happiness and life satisfaction. So if we focus only comparing ourselves to other, it will not bring us to anywhere in terms of happiness and life satisfaction. But if we have one domain like financial situation that we feel secure, it can contribute to the well to our well-being. So I think the also the important thing is if we have the financial capabilities to save or to spend wisely, I think it also contribute to our financial secure. So I think that is important to have the capabilities to manage our money so we feel secure and then it will bring to the well-being.
Okay,
Is it
so
clear enough?
the key takeaway is, if you feel financially secure, so if you have enough money to financially sort of be able to save, to be able to take care of yourself, then do as much social comparison as you want. You're completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. It is that so I'm interested in sort of the more practical aspects or discussion of it. What does, so we spoke about your results, but what does this mean for us, for everybody, like in a practical sense? Yeah, so what are I guess the discussions and implications of your findings?
Okay. So there are few recommendations that come out of this research. First, we should try to reduce how often we engage in social comparison because constantly measuring ourselves against others is not very helpful to our well-being. And the second, it is important to strengthen our financial skills and capabilities because that sense of control really matters. Because if we have the sense of control of our financial condition, so it can contribute to our happiness and our satisfaction. And the third, we can work on appreciating and feeling more satisfied with our financial situation instead of focusing only on what we lack. So we need to appreciate ourselves and feeling more satisfied. And then rather than chasing after other people's standard, it is healthier to set our own personal standard for what well-being looks like for us. So in short, the key is shifting the focus inward on our own growth and financial confidence rather than outward on endless comparisons.
I think that's a very good. Those are very good sort of recommendations. I quite like the last two. Um, the first one, social comparison. No, I'm human. I will compare away. But if I, but it shows how important sort of that aspect of you're focusing on yourself, and if you can do things within your means, that is, and you have that sort of financial control, it's more important than someone who lacks that financial control but probably has a lot more money. They will not be like as happy. Like there's no point, I mean, I guess there is a point, but no point of having like millions of dollars if you're spending in the billions, then you're always in
Yeah.
losses.
Yes,
You say that, but then there's
very
that
true.
saying, right? There's
Mhm.
that saying, I'd rather be crying in a Ferrari than in a. But
I remember this one sort of financial. I can't remember his name. He just said just it's all about just spending less than what you earn, and you're fine.
Yeah, I think spending less than what you earn can bring the self of control in our financial condition, right? Yeah.
but I mean this is where it comes into the practical sense, where the economic sense of what the wages are and things. If the what you earn is not enough to buy food, then you're in trouble again. So
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but but yeah, I think those are good sort of recommendations on like on a base level for people if they're trying to sort of think about subjective well-being and improving one of the traits which you can, I guess, use your financial situation to help with your subjective well-being. Uh, we gave you a few ideas throughout of like things to measure, but should ask you, what are sort of the next steps of your study? You said that this research was conducted a year ago before it was published, so what are you doing now, and what are your future research plans?
Okay. So Theda, my co-researchers, and I each have our own research projects, but specifically for this topic, we are in working together as a team. Uh, Together, we plan to analyze the next wave of the data of IFLS, and hopefully, the data will be released soon. I don't know when. We are also considering analyzing it using a longitudinal study method. Yeah,
So what
there
does a
is.
longitudinal study method mean? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah, no. Longitudinal study is comparing year by year based on the same data.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It is
So
also
does
new for us.
does it just out of interest then, because they're doing the same survey again, will they survey the same 80,000
Yeah,
families, or will they survey different ones? Because I feel in
yeah.
longitudinal
Usually
data
the
usually
same.
you study the same ones.
Usually the same with the same instrument. Probably they will add some instruments. Yeah. Of course, I also have another project, another research project, but in terms of IFLS, Theda and me plan to analyze the next data if they release soon.
So which future direction are you most excited about from this paper, from this study?
This paper, the
Yes, yeah, yeah.
article.
What direction are you most excited about to move the
Mm,
study forward?
or for the study forward.
Yeah.
I think what interests me is studying a new method because it is also my first article using the big data. Usually, a qualitative researcher actually, and Theda usually using the structural equation modeling, quantitative research. So this is the first experience, and so happy that it can publish in the Europe's Journal of Psychology and having this podcast with you. So the most interesting one is studying a new method for me.
No, that's really awesome. I really enjoyed the study. It was it was nice. It was quite fun to listen to and also relatable. Because everybody studies about well being. Uh, I think are quite important because usually we don't talk about it as much as we should. I think we talk about it more than when I was a child, but generally speaking, I still think we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah,
Um,
and good to know that money does buy happiness. Yeah,
no, no,
this
no.
is
Technically speaking, you knowing how much money you have buys happiness, not money
okay.
buys happiness.
I see.
Technically
Yep.
speaking, okay.
I see. Yep. Yep.
We just spent an hour talking about this. You cannot besmirch the study.
Right.
At some point,
My
yeah,
bad.
we we need food. Yeah, as a human, we need money and we need food to eat. But at some point, money can bring the secure, but mm, at some point, it will not buy our happiness. So we need to be satisfied with our condition.
So there you go. There's levels. There's limits.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going for
That
the tabloid title, but the magazine title rather than the research title.
Uh, okay. One question which Beth, who isn't here, has started asking, and I really like, so I will ask it to you, Cecilia. Um, if if you had, there's no money restrictions, no skills restrictions, you don't have any problems with ethics or anything like that. What is a dreams research study which you would like to do, or what is your main interest going forward? If you had all this accessibility to everything.
it is very challenging question. Because I cannot imagine. But my dream is as a researcher, I want to bring positive impact to the participant and to the people, not only the participant. Sometimes, as a researcher, I feel that the benefit is only for me and for the academician who 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 cite my work or who read the article. But for the participant, because usually I do the qualitative research, sometimes I feel that do they have a benefit when being my participant? So I want to have a concrete contribution to my participant and also contribute to the literature. That is my dream.
I think that's a very good goal. I think we're moving more in that direction. Personally, I also do qualitative work now. I think personally we're moving in that role, but I feel overall there's still a long way to go. There's a big history, especially in places like in India, in New Zealand with Maori participants. I
Mhm.
guess the same in Southeast Asia in general. A lot of you mentioned at the start, a lot of
Yeah.
people do the research from the outside, and they don't necessarily benefit the people who they're doing the
Yeah.
research on. So I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
that's a very good thing and a very good
So
goal to aspire towards.
thank you. So you are researching again about rats and alcohol?
I I used to. I used to. That is a past life. My
Oh,
new
past
research,
life.
that my new research is not that. Oh, it's still with alcohol, but I work with people who have substance use issues and trying to find better integrated care support for them. So it's more working with people and working with the public healthcare system here and community
Mm.
organizations and trying to help design better, better systems, better integrated care systems for them. So yeah, that's why I'm saying I
Awesome.
think we're moving in a better direction because I, but
I saw your podcast about threats and alcoholism
yeah,
with Amer also.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that was a fun one. Yeah.
So yeah, go people, check that one out. Um, so just to wrap up, Cecilia, we can talk about my podcast more later. But just to wrap up, were there any final things about your study which we did not cover, or any things which you wanted to say which we forgot?
I think that's all. I already covered the issue in the article.
No, awesome. So
Thank you.
see, look at that, Amr. We've been very thorough.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
that's rare.
Usually we come to the end and our guests are like, "You did not ask this and this and this yet."
Yeah,
Ah,
yep,
damn
yeah, you've done a good job. We're getting there.
Okay.
I enjoyed this podcast very much. It is my first experience doing this podcast, and it's challenged myself because I practice very often to practice my English. Hopefully, I can deliver the message well.
No. Also, I think you did a great job, if it means anything whatsoever. But
Thank you very much.
thank you so much, Cecilia, for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening. As we mentioned, I usually mention, I don't know if I did at the start, but Europe's Journal of Psychology is open access, so anybody can read it. So the link to Cecilia's paper will be in the description of the video and of the Spotify, like, yeah, description, whatever. So feel free to go read it. And if you want, you can contact Cecilia and ask more questions about it. So thank you everybody again for listening. Thank you, Cecilia, again. Thanks, Amir, again, and take care.
Thank
Till
you,
next time.
Amer and Sahir. See you.